What do you think of this position? Both the players have 3 pawns each and it does look like that the game is drawn. But if you carefully look at the pawns, you will realize that the 3 white pawns have already entered into black's territory, whereas black's pawns haven't even moved from their home squares. And right now it is white's turn in the game. So if white is able to find the right move, white can actually queen one of these pawns and end up winning the game. So how to do that? Well, whenever you see such a setup and if it is your turn in the game, you should always move the center pawn first. Okay. Now black has 2 options to capture this pawn with either the A pawn or the C pawn. Now not capturing is definitely not the solution, because if black doesn't capture this pawn and end up playing something else, then white will just simply capture one of these pawns and then in the next turn it will just queen the pawn, right? So black has to capture this pawn. Now if white captures with the A pawn, now you have 2 pawns left. So what do we play next? Well, because the pawn has been captured in this direction, so if you extend this direction, you will see that it points to the C pawn. So now you will play the C pawn. But what do we do with the C pawn? So if you capture this pawn, he'll just capture back and you'll capture back, and then this is a dead drawn position. So capturing doesn't make sense over here. So then what do? You have to move your C pawn. So you will not capture back, but you will move your C pawn one step further. So you're threatening to capture this B pawn and then promote this into a queen. Now black is forced to respond to this threat. Right now black can respond in 2 ways. Black can either capture this pawn or this pawn. Let's see what happens in both the cases. If black captures this pawn, then you can easily promote this pawn into a queen. You'll simply move this pawn forward. Now he moves forward, you move forward, you move forward, but you queen first, and now there is no way black can win this game, because you can easily capture all of these pawns and end up winning this game, right? So let's go back. So what happens if black decides to capture this pawn? Well, in that case, you'll capture the B pawn and there is no way black can catch up in this queen race. So you'll queen first and now you can easily win the game. Let's go back. So you saw how to win this game when you push the center pawn forward and black decides to capture with the side pawn. Now let's see what happens when black decides to capture with the other pawn. Okay, which is not on the side of the board, but it is more towards the center side of the board. So if black decides to capture your pawn with this pawn, then again, since you have already sacrificed one pawn and you want to queen one of these pawns, you will have to give up a second pawn. But which pawn you will give up? Well, the trick is simple. Since black has captured in this direction, let's extend this direction further. So you have to move this pawn. So you will move this pawn forward, right? Now, if black captures this pawn, then you simply go ahead and there is no way black can stop you from queening, and now you can win the game. Let's go back. If black captures this pawn, then you simply take the B pawn and you bring the queen first. Alright, so what did we learn from that technique? Well, in order to queen one of your pawns, you will have to sacrifice a pawn or a 2, and the winning move always in this situation is to move your center pawn forward, and in whichever direction the opponent captures, you have to move that pawn as your next move. And if he captures this, then you move this pawn forward and queen this pawn. Let's go back, and if your opponent captures this one, then you simply capture this and queen this one. Okay, I know you have understood this. Now let's look at another scenario. Let's go back. Now let's just reverse this board, and now let's assume that in this position it is black's turn to play. So what is the best move for black? Now if black tries to move the king anywhere, right, then he will immediately lose to b6, and you have already seen now how white can win this position, correct? So obviously black should not move the king. So then what should black play? Well, black has to move one of the pawns. But which one? Obviously the center one. So black will play b6. Now if white captures with the C pawn, then you don't want to capture back with the A pawn, because that will allow white's A pawn to queen on the board, right? That would be a terrible mistake. So let's go back. So if black captures with the C pawn, you also want to capture with the C pawn, making sure both of your pawns are blocking the way of the 2 white pawns, right? And in this situation, it's a completely drawn position with the correct play. And now if white captures this pawn, you'll capture back, and now it's a dead drawn position. Okay, now let's go back. If white captures with the A pawn, then you will also capture with the A pawn, ensuring that you are blocking white's pawn's way and not allowing them to move forward. Now white either captures this pawn, or if it moves forward, doesn't matter because it's a dead drawn position. So in this situation, what we have learnt is, if it is white's turn, then white can easily win the game by playing b6. But if it is black's turn, then it's a completely drawn position, and to draw the game, black will also have to play b6. Now let's just change the positions of these pawns. I'll bring the black pawns to the 6th rank and I'll push the white pawns to the 4th rank. And now let's evaluate this position. Let's start with white. Let's say it is white's turn to play. What do you think will happen? So if you try to do the breakthrough by pushing the center pawn, black can simply draw this game, and it doesn't matter with which of these pawns he captures back, because black can easily blockade the passing of these pawns. So let's say black captures with the A pawn, you capture back, he captures back, you capture back, and it's a dead drawn position. Let's go back. Similarly, if he captures with the C pawn, you capture back, he captures back, and it's a dead drawn position again. And if we try to apply the previous logic, let's say if he captures with this, and because this pawn is moved in this direction, so the trick that I taught you, that ideally you should push this pawn to create a breakthrough, but in this situation you can do this, because then you will simply end up losing, because what black will do is, you have already lost a pawn, you have offered another pawn for free, so black will capture this pawn, and now black has 3 pawns versus your single pawn. So now if you're thinking that, hey, I'm going to queen first, sure, you're going to queen first, but black is also going to queen on the board, but black will be up in material by 2 points. See, both of them have queened. Now it doesn't matter what white plays over here. White can play queen to a2 or some king move or something else, but in that situation black can easily defend, but black here is up in material by 2 connected strong passed pawns, so therefore black has a stronger chances of winning this game. In fact, the game is completely winning for black over here. So that is why, let's go back, you cannot make the mistake of following the same rule in this situation, okay, because the placement of the pawns is different over here. Now let's assume in this situation, let me reverse the board, and now let's assume that it is black's turn to play. So what will happen? Well, if it is black's turn to play, it is a completely drawn position, right? If black tries to do a breakthrough with by pushing the center pawn, white can simply block it, and it's a dead drawn position. Let's go back, and if black tries to play a similar strategy that was learned in the previous game, if it tries to push this pawn, then black will simply lose, because of the same logic that you have sacrificed 2 of your pawns. Now white has 3 pawns against your single pawn over here, so even if you push, it doesn't matter, white is queening first, and white will just simply win this game. Alright, now let's move on to the question of the day. So here is a very interesting situation. It was white's turn in the game, and instead of pushing the B pawn, white pushed the C pawn, and clearly this is a mistake, and this is a completely winning position for black. So in the comments box, you have to tell me what is the best move for black over here. How can black win this game? I'm eagerly waiting for your answers, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep learning, keep practicing.